As you likely have caught on by now, throughout the months of July and August, we have really the incredible gift of being able to hear from all sorts of different congregants, insights into their expertise, their experience, their background. So tonight it is my honor to introduce two of our members, Daniel and Alla Anderson, who are going to share a bit about their story tonight. Come on up.
It's a pleasure and an honor to be up here speaking to you today. My parents joined Beth Am about 40 years ago. I moved back to the Bay about a year ago after 5 years living in Israel. And I'm here to introduce someone to you that I met there. Someone that's very special to me, my wife, Alla. But first I'd like to share a little bit about my experience in our wonderful home country of Ukraine. I first visited Ukraine in July 2020. I've been dating Alla for about 4 years, and things have been going really well. We had been living in Israel while I was working as a software developer. The problem was that she was moving back to her home country, or home city in Vinnytsia, Ukraine. And we were going to have to start having a long-distance relationship. Not so easy. But we were committed, so we started planning. Most of the planning revolved me around scheduling trips to visit her in Ukraine every few weeks. This is the first time that I was introduced to her beautiful country. Over the next few months, I was able to make multiple very memorable trips to Ukraine. Kiev is not exactly like Tel Aviv, and Vinnytsia is not exactly like Palo Alto, but they have a lot in common. The country is very green, and there are many interconnected trains across the country. It is possible to get a taxi if you know what you're doing. You can feel the Soviet history as well as the blossoming Ukrainian pride. I visited Alla many times in her home city of Vinnytsia. I visited the bustling capital of Kiev, and I even spent a weekend away in the now famous western city of Lviv. In one especially memorable trip, I went with Alla to a hard rock show a few miles from her apartment at Vinnytsia. In many ways, I was like a celebrity there. Whether I was outside getting some air or at the bar getting some very affordable drinks, nearly everyone would pick up on my English and try to talk to me. When I mentioned Israel, people were really excited and wanted to learn more. Unfortunately, the Ukraine that we see now is not the same Ukraine I had the opportunity to visit multiple times a little over a year ago. Many of the same men and women that listened to music with me only a few months ago are now volunteering in large numbers to protect their country. Many others have fled or have been forced to relocate out of the East. I want to introduce my wife, who will tell you a little bit more about what it feels like when one's country goes to war, why it's not safe for her to go back home, and why it's not legal for her dad, who's 58 years old, to leave and visit us.
Hi. Hi, I'm Alla Anderson, and I have been a member of Beth Am for almost a year. Unfortunately, as you know, my home country currently at the war. When I think about circumstances that forced me to leave my homeland, my heart is filled with the terror. And most of you don't wake up every day and think about war, but I do. Every day I'm checking news, and I'm worrying about my home and my family. The war in Ukraine unleashed a torrent of suffering upon its people, tearing families apart and shattering dreams. The pain of separation and fear of losing loved ones and the constant uncertainty of what tomorrow holds are burdens that weighed heavily on every Ukrainian heart. Yet, amidst the chaos and despair, a flicker of undefended spirit remains alive within the hearts of Ukrainians. Today I stand before you as a person who knows firsthand what war is, and what does it mean to live under sirens when you have to run to the shelter wherever it's a night and you sleep in good day. I have experienced windows rattling due to exposure a few miles away. I faced situation when the credit card's useless and ATMs refuse dispense cash. And it's only a tiny fraction what people have deal with. My parents still live in Ukraine, and I'm in touch with them every day. We talk about current situation and how people support each other. However, sometimes our conversation takes a somber turn when my dad or my mom mention a specific person and inform me that that person has been killed. There will be a funeral. One day my cousin texted me and asked if I had heard about our sport trainer, and I said that I had spoken to him like a few months ago, and he seems positive, serving in the army, and she replied, he's no longer with us. There were 12 guys, including him, were killed in the shell explosion, and his body will be delivered soon for a funeral. It's hard to put into words that emotions when you're seeing such news, and especially when you know the person very well. This is something that every Ukrainian has dealt with. While it's true that physical distance can separate us from the current situation, but it does not reduce the responsibility we bear to people who, against their will, found themselves in this situation where they need to fight for their fundamental rights to life, to freedom and independence at the cost of human life. I call upon each and every one of you today to join us in standing in solidarity with Ukraine. We must remember the importance safeguarding the principles of peace, freedom, and justice. I ask you not to be indifferent to people who defend not only their rights to a peaceful existence, but your right to live in peace. Слава Україні та незламному духу нації. Glory to Ukraine and unstoppable spirit of the nation. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming here tonight and letting us share our experience with all you today. I'm very grateful that Alla is able to share her story with you in person from the Bay Area. It's a complicated position to be safe while knowing that people you love are still in danger and need our help. As you can imagine, there are some strong feelings of survival's guilt, as well as a very strong urge to help any way that you can. That is one of the reasons why we are so grateful to have been able to contribute both our time and language skills to the Poltava-Odessa Committee here at Beth Am. The committee has given us an opportunity to regularly practice Tikkun Olam in a very direct way. By pairing our committee directly with those on the ground who need our assistance, we've been able to sidestep any potential middlemen that may seek to profit off our charity and seek to support and support directly where it is needed. The Torah portion this week is the first piece of the book of Deuteronomy. Throughout this book, Moses is retelling the story of the Jewish people and their pilgrimage to Israel. He wants to make sure that the next generation understands both their mistakes and their triumphs in order to make sure that history does not repeat itself. A noble effort by Moses, but as we've seen in Ukraine, history does have a habit of repeating itself. As many of you may remember, what is happening in Ukraine is eerily similar to what happened in Chechnya. I urge you to support Beth Am's effort to help the people of Ukraine and to give generously tonight. Thank you and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.